At least 24 people were killed and dozens more injured in a military airstrike on a village in northwestern Myanmar. They used a motorised paraglider. That's according to opposition sources. The attack taking place on Monday evening as people in a village in Saigang region were holding a candlelit vigil. The Myanmar military has escalated its aerial bombing campaign against the opposition in recent months to try to strengthen the authority of the ruling junta before a planned election in December. We've had these images that have come in of the attack, and for context, thousands of people have died, millions have been displaced since 2021 when the army seized power, triggering a civil war with armed resistance groups and ethnic militias. Our Southeast Asia correspondent Jonathan Head is in the region and told us more about these paragliding strikes that are being used by the military.
It's relatively new. The capacity of the military to use air power, which has always been high. They've used conventional helicopters, gunships and aircraft to drop bombs now throughout the civil war, but that's been escalating, has been augmented now. They've got much more sophisticated drone technology. Remember, at the start of this conflict, the insurgents who had very little started improvising with drones and becoming quite effective at targeting military posts with those. They're now finding that the military can jam their drones very effectively, whereas the military's got access to a lot of more sophisticated Chinese drones. They've got Russian technology as well and are using those very effectively. The paragliders really only appeared this year, but they are a terrifying addition. They're quite slow moving, so they tend to use them in areas where there's very little capacity to shoot back. But because they fly quite low and quite slowly, they can be very accurate. Which of course tells you a lot about this particular attack. It was a festival in an opposition-controlled village near the Chindwin River in Lower Sagaing region. It's a very important Buddhist festival at this time of year, and they were holding a vigil in the evening to demand the release of political prisoners. And this paraglider, might have been more than one. They certainly heard the engine. It's a very distinctive sound. Came over there, they had understood that was happening but got very little notice of it and were unable to disperse people, and then bombs, and they say there were several, started dropping in this crowd of several hundred people, so it caused a lot of casualties.
Then what is the role of China in the civil war at the moment?
Absolutely central. It has completely transformed the situation on the ground, giving the military an enormous leg up, both in its capacity to fight back, and the military has also been successful in getting far more recruits now to fill the holes in its ranks, but also the enormous diplomatic support China is giving for the military's controversial plan to hold an election in December, an election that is widely dismissed as a sham. I mean, it can only be held in small parts of the country which are controlled by the military, and of course parties like Aung San Suu Kyi's NLD are not allowed to take part. But for all that, this is a plan that China is now backing in the hope that the military can accumulate some kind of legitimacy to build on. With China's full backing, it's likely the election will at least get recognised in this region, and I think that's given the military a lot more confidence.